The fight against the circumvention of anti-Russian sanctions. The dense package of Western sanctions against the Russian Federation will be designed for this. Its preparation was announced by the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen.
The 10th round will be mainly focused on closing these loopholes, on finishing off with these circumventions, and on having massive consequences for those who circumvent the sanctions of the European Union. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, in an interview with CNN.
On January 13th, Reuters, citing EU officials, reported that the 10th package of sanctions was planned to be prepared for the anniversary of the full-scale invasion of Russia, February 24th. According to journalists of the publication, Poland and Lithuania are calling on the EU countries for sanctions against the Russian nuclear sector. Ukraine called on the European Union to also include the Russian Rosatom nuclear power company in the sanctions list. However, Hungary is still blocking such restrictions.
Now, one of the priorities will be to finally impose sanctions on nuclear energy and nuclear energy resources that Russia exports, and accordingly individual sanctions on the entire top management of Rosatom, since we all see Russian extremely unsafe and terrorist behavior at our Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant.
It also became known from unofficial comments that additional restrictions against Russian propaganda's resources and new disconnections of Russian banks from SWIFT are being discussed. In addition, in February of this year, the embargo on Russian oil products will come into force. And this, according to experts, will hit the domestic Russian economy hard. The government will have to stop oil refineries and freeze wells, because the oil will simply have nowhere to go.
The Russian economy is quite simple. It is highly dependent on oil and gas revenue. On the one hand, they used it as blackmail. On the other hand, it is their Achilles heel, because every time Russia's oil and gas revenues fall, the state itself falls into a crisis and recession.
According to experts, the Russian economy will be able to survive this year at the expense of the National Welfare Fund. However, the Russian money for the war in Ukraine may run out by 2025.
We believe that there is a reserve for approximately the years of 2023-2024. Starting with the year of 2025, the situation becomes very alarming, and at that moment, apparently, the sixth tool will be used. That is, taking money from the population. The mandatory bonds for the population may be imposed. This is the last tool. Igor Lipsits, Doctor of Economic Sciences of Russia, in an interview with Current Time.
According to Bloomberg, the Ministry of Finance of the Russian Federation estimated the direct losses from Western sanctions at hundreds of billions of dollars. The agency's internal report does not provide an overall assessment of the impact of the sanctions. However, it is known that Russia's gold and foreign exchange reserves on their own are frozen in the amount of more than $300 billion. Reported by Pavel Stelmach, Victoria Sinko, Mikita Babenko, UATV News.